Hello and welcome to Dungeon Johnny with me, the Dragon, Stale Rice. Well then folks, the summer heat is hitting us, and I think we all need a little something to cool down. Well, in the last couple of months, I've been experimenting a bit. I've been concocting some of my very own homemade simple sodas. Using a variety of ingredients you can find at just about any grocery store, I've been making a variety of sodas. Experiments ranging from ginger ale to berry sodas, and even a basic cola. Well, in this video, we're gonna make 3 of my favorite soda recipes that I have made. And I'm calling these sodas Stale's Ales. So, the 3 flavors we're gonna make are Cheeky Cherry, Rootin Tootin, and Gringos Ginseng. Thank you, Bobby, for the name. My good friend Relish made the logo for me, and my roommate Ina made the border for the bottles. So then folks, what are we waiting for? Let's get to making our sodas. Alrighty, first round of voiceover. Our first drink is going to be my favorite of the concoctions that I've made, Gringos Ginseng. Do you like green tea and ginseng drinks? Well, imagine if that had a cola flavor. That's essentially what Gringos Ginseng is. It has quite a few staples of cola recipes. We have citrus ingredients as well as aromatics. Our game plan for this soda, as well as the rest of them, is to make a soda syrup that will later be added to seltzer water. I later plan to buy myself a water carbonator, but this method is something that'll work for just about anybody in their home. Now, let's get to the action. Hello there folks, we are in the kitchen, and we have here a smorgasbord of ingredients. So then folks, we're going to start off our soda syrup by making some green tea. And we have right here 2 cups of water and 3 green tea bags. In which case, we don't need these ones. So once the water has become tea, which is about now, it is time to add our other ingredients. So like a lot of cola recipes, I have some citrus and some aromatics. I zested 2 limes, 1 lemon, and 1 orange. And then I juiced them. Now the ginseng part of our Gringos Ginseng is not actually ginseng. Liar! Hence the gringo in the name. So ginger is our ginseng part of our Gringos Ginseng. So I grated 1/4 of a ginger root. So with all of those, I have this lovely concoction. And believe me, it smells really good. Now on the aromatic side of things, we have cinnamon, star anise, and coriander. Now these things are best whole, but I don't have whole coriander. So in place of it, I have a teaspoon's worth of coriander powder, as well as 2 cinnamon sticks and 4 star anise. So in the brew they go. And for some extra flavor, I have here a tablespoon of vanilla extract. In you go. And all the zest too. Now, despite this being chunky, we're going to strain it later, using a fine mesh strainer. And now comes the sweet components of a soda, sugar. Now with all my experiments, my ratio from water to sugar is 2 parts water and 3 parts sugar. But in this case, I have 2 cups of sugar and a cup of brown sugar. Now the brown sugar is going to give us a nice honey-like flavor. And trust me, that is a great addition to this. So in we freaking go. Oh. Wow! Wow! Hey folks at home, I do not advise cooking wearing something that covers your face. But hey, don't look at me. I'm a dragon. And now let's add some brown sugar. Ooh, and now we have ourselves a lovely freaking concoction. Now we're going to let this stuff brew for 10 minutes. Afterwards, we're going to kill the heat. In which case, I'm going to see you all in a bit here. Alrighty folks, here we are again. I should have specified earlier when I said cook for 10 minutes to start doing so when the concoction starts to boil. And in which case, this has. And also bear in mind to keep your eye on the concoction. You don't want it to boil over. And I certainly didn't do that at all. But with that, let's kill the heat. We're going to put the goods into these bowls. They're gonna cool down a bit and I'll put those in a container. Now after I make all 3 syrups, you're gonna see the final product. But for now, let's finish this syrup. Now folks, let's just say you use the aromatics, right? The cinnamon, the star anise, and you used a lot more ginger and removed everything else. You can have yourself your very own ginger ale syrup. Now a lot of folks ferment their ginger ale, but I've tried it myself and it is a good remedy. Just bearing in mind, you should use a lot more ginger. Alright then, that's that. So folks, there we have our first syrup. So then folks, I'm going to clean up, let these cool down, contain it, and get to our next soda. Who's ready for some Rootin Tootin?
Now it's on to our second soda, which is what I call Rootin Tootin. Now, what flavor is it? Well, let's get a little background there first. While experimenting with different soda flavors, I was curious about root beer, so I looked into it and found out that its main flavor component is the sassafras root. Now, despite its corporate use being banned in the 70s, consumers can still purchase and use sassafras. However, ask yourself this: when was the last time you've seen sassafras on a store shelf? It's not particularly common, so I wanted to make my own drink that used the ingredients that were otherwise in root beer that were not sassafras. The result is a drink that tastes partly like root beer and partly like cream soda, kind of like how Dr. Pepper tastes like cola and a root beer in one. With that long-winded background established, let's get to brewing.
Well then folks, I have here 2 cups of boiling water. But before we add our ingredients, I want to talk about them for a moment. Now everything here, aside from cardamom and ginger, these are all staples in my household. Say I'm still cooking a meat of some kind, right? Throw some cinnamon in there, some star anise, maybe some cloves and coriander. The important thing to remember is, roots, like mirepoix, make the world go round, or at least the culinary world. The great thing about roots is that they're not just used for savory foods, but also for sweet foods. Now that's essentially a given, but it's important to remember. And that's why staples like these are like an investment. I literally made my first batch of Rootin Tootin on a whim. And with that, I freaking love this drink. So let's get to making it. What we have right here is 2 sticks of cinnamon, 4 star anise, much like the Gringos Ginseng, and what I'm going to call a thumb's worth of ginger. I don't want the ginger to overpower everything else. Oh, and I almost forgot, 4 cloves. Now, for our powdered roots, I have some coriander and cardamom. If you had to cut one thing from this recipe, I'd say it'd be the cardamom. But it does add a hint of a nice flavor. And surprisingly to me, it has a slight Coca-Cola smell to it. That might just be me. And for our last root, I have a tablespoon's worth of vanilla extract. And I have one more additional ingredient that is not a root. Some rum extract, about half a tablespoon. And I have here the same ratio of white sugar and brown sugar as the Gringos Ginseng. 2 cups of white, 1 cup of brown. And with all this, we're effectively making a tea, essentially. So in they go. And same principle as the tea with the ginseng, we're going to let that boil a bit. One more. That already smells pretty darn nice. So in a couple of minutes, we're going to add our sugars. So, quick jump cut. Alright then, I think our water has brewed well enough. So now it's time for our sugars. Here we go. Easy peasy. And now for the brown. There they go. Ooh, ow! Ooh, I stuck myself. Now give that a nice cursory stir. And there we freaking go. So folks, by now it's the same drill as last time. We're gonna let this get to a boil. Once it does, we wait for 10 minutes. Don't let it overflow. Once it's done, we're gonna let the thing cool down and contain it. Since you already get the gist, I'm gonna skip that for you guys and get on to our very last soda, our cheeky cherry. Okie doke folks, it is time for our last soda. That being our cheeky cherry. Unlike the other two sodas, there's not much background to be covered here. This is the simplest recipe we're doing today. And I initially made this recipe for my boyfriend. I wanted to give him a foodie gift of some kind, so who doesn't like cherry soda? But I call it cheeky for a reason. I could have just made a cherry soda using just cherries and sugar, but I wanted to add a couple extra elements. A little bit of citrus, the juice and zest of 1 lemon, and 2 star anise. Folks, I love star anise. I'm the kind of weirdo who likes black licorice. Ew! And I have right here, blended up, 1 pound of black cherries. And I bought frozen de-seeded ones. I could have gotten seeded cherries and pitted them, but I was lazy. And to get as much out of them as possible, I blended them up with 2 cups of water. So in a hot pot they go. The star anise and the lemon. But unlike the last 2 sodas, we're only using white sugar. I don't want the honey flavor in this one. So 3 cups of sugar. 1, 2, 3, and let's stir that around. So as you can see, and like I said, this is the easiest soda we're making. Now if you want to do a simple berry soda, shoot, get cherries, get blueberries, get strawberries.
The strawberries taste like strawberries. The snozberries taste like snozberries.
What the heck ever. Effectively, a lot of soda making is just thick tea/juice making. The thick element being the syrup. Now once I have my syrups, I'm going to use seltzer water to turn them into sodas. But for personal use later, I want to buy myself one of those carbonation machines. Now, while this stuff is very useful, it doesn't keep the fizz forever. But hey, if you're a home cook and you don't want to spend money on a machine, this stuff works just fine. And funny enough, the final product of Cheeky Cherry tastes a little bit like pomegranate to me. But in all fairness, grenadine, which is often a cherry flavoring, actually is made out of pomegranates. So there's got to be some kind of bridge between the flavor of cherries and pomegranate. At least in a juice form, it seems like. Tell you what though, it's great to learn new things. And with that, I've been rambling on quite a bit. You all get the gist of this, but to recap. We're going to let it brew a few minutes, we're going to let it boil for 10 minutes, let it cool down, and contain it. And the next time you see me, we're going to finally turn our syrups into sodas. So, I'll see y'all in just a bit here. So, here we are at the finish line. We have here our 3 soda syrups. They are done. And we have our bottles, our Gringos Ginseng, our Rootin Tootin, and our Cheeky Cherry. And we have here our seltzer water. Now I typically eyeball the ratio, but I would say it's about 1/8 soda syrup, and the rest is seltzer water. And here I have the syrup in there already. They all measure out to be about 2 cups worth of syrup. The syrups measure up to be about 2 cups worth, with a little more syrup shy, which is what is in here right now. But before we continue, I should mention that Cheeky Cherry took longer to boil than I expected. Given the fact that I blended the cherries, there was a lot of residual liquid. All that tasty juice. There's the seltzer water. And now, let's add it. Oh, look at that fizz. There we go, look at that. A little bit much. Gotta be careful next time. Let some airflow go. Alright then folks, finally, here we have our homemade simple sodas. And believe you me, we're not finishing things up without me trying these. So, alright, here we go. Some Cheeky Cherry. Oh, sweet. That hint of sour anise in there. Oh, I love that stuff so much. And some Rootin Tootin. Tell you what, I love this stuff. It's my roommate Ina's favorite of the three. I will say I added this syrup to some ice cream, right? Tastes really good. Any of these would taste good on ice cream, but I added this to a milkshake. And you know what it tastes like, y'all? It tastes straight up like a root beer float. Delicious. If you want to add a little more syrup to any of these, perfectly well and good. Do as little or as much as you want in there, you know? And my personal favorites and the original, Gringos Ginseng. Here we go. And this one, for me, is a little bit of everything. You got your citrus in there, you got your aromatics, you got a little extra something with that green tea. So, I love these. These are really good. So, I love these. And these right here are going to come in handy for me later. But, before any of that... oops, still human hands. 1 second. Woo! There we go. So then, stale's ale. Those were tasty. And in my book, they are pretty simple to make. For those of you at home who are adults, mind you, or supervised by adults, I help you make some of your own sodas at home. Choose your own flavors, make your own flavor combinations. Because in all fairness, my taste is my taste. And your taste ought to be unique to everybody else's. Just imagine all the flavors that you can make at home. And, sodas aside, you have a lot of versatility you can get out of soda syrup. So then, in any case, thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you next time in my dungeon.